Hello grade 9! Hello sa mga viewers! Andito na naman tayo upang pag-aralan at matutunan ng ating panibagong lesson tungkol sa laws of radicals and simplifying radicals. Pero bago natin simulan, huwag kalimutang i-like, i-share, and hit the notification bell para lagi kayong updated sa mga latest videos ng matalinong Noipi. So ano pang hinihintay natin? Let's start! Start our discussion, let's have first the parts of the radical. Now, let's identify the parts of the radical. We have the radical sign, the index represented by n or the order of the radical, the radicand represented by y raised to m or the number inside the radical sign, the coefficient of the radical represented by x or the number beside the radical sign, and power represented by m or the exponent of the radicand. Ngayong alam na natin ang parts ng radical, now let's proceed to the laws of radicals. But before we discuss the laws of radicals, let's have first define what is radical expression. So, pag sinabing radical or radical expression, it is an expression containing the symbol which is called the radical sign. So, in exponential form, that is a raised to m over n is equal to the nth root of a raised to m. So, yung n natin ang denominator and then yung m ang numerator sa exponential form. Now, let's proceed to the laws of radicals. So, the first law says that the quantity of nth root of a raised to n is equal to a, or simply, the nth root of a raised to n is equal to a. For example, we have the square root of 4 squared. So therefore, the answer following the rule or the law, the first law is 4. Also, we have the quantity of cube root of 7 raised to the third power is equal to 7. The second law says that the product of the nth root of a and nth root of b is equal to the nth root of the product of a and b. So for example, we have the square root of 2 times the square root of 3, that is equal to the square root of 2 times 3 is equal to square root of 6. Also, the cube root of 5 times the cube root of 9 is equal to the cube root of 5 times 9 is equal to the cube root of 45. And then the last example for the second law, that is square root of 2. Square root of 32. So, since na ang 32 naman ay factors niya ay 16 times 2, so that is square root of 16 times 2, where 16 is perfect square, so that is square root of 4 squared times 2, so we have the final answer of 4 square root of 2. Now, let's proceed to the third law, which says the nth root of the ratio a and b is equal to the nth root of a divided by the nth root of b, where b must be greater than 0. For example, we have the square root of 9x squared over 25y squared. So that is equal to the square root of 3 squared, that is equal to 9, times x squared over the square root of 5 squared is equal to 25 times y squared will give us an answer of 3x over 5y. The fourth law says that the nth root of the nth root of a is equal to the product of the nth root and nth root of a. For example, we have the cube root of the fourth root of 20 is equal to, so dito, imumultiply lang natin ang kanilang index. So that is 3 times 4, or simply this one, 3 times 4 is equal to 12. So therefore, the final answer is the 12th root of 20. Next one is the fifth root of square root of 17. So since yung sa loob ay squared, so with an index of 2, so therefore, 5 times 2 is 10. So ang ating final answer is the 10th root of 17. Now let's proceed to simplifying radicals. But let's take the reminder that the simplified form of the radicals would require: first, no prime factors of the radicand has an exponent equal or greater than the index. Number 2, no radicand contains a fraction. Kailangan hindi naka-fraction ang radicand. And then number 3, no denominators contains a radical sign. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan denominators natin ay hindi naka-radical sign. First is removing perfect and powers. To this one, we need to break down the radicand into perfect and non-perfect n powers and apply the property the nth root of AB is equal to the nth root of A times to the nth root of B. For example, square root of 8x raised to the 5th power, y to the 6th power, z to the 13th power. Simplify the given radical expression. We have to break down the radicand into perfect and non-perfect n powers. So we have 8 is equal to 4 times 2, and x raised to the 4th power times x is equal to x raised to the 5th power, y cubed raised to 2, that is y raised to the 6th power, z raised to the 12th power times z is equal to z raised to the 13th power. So therefore, paghihiwalayin na natin yung merong perfect and non-perfect and powers. So that is the square root of 2 squared times the quantity of x squared times the quantity of y cubed squared times the quantity of z raised to 6 squared times the square root of 2xz. So we have the final answer of 2x squared y cubed z raised to the 6th power square root of 2xz. Now let's proceed to number 2, which is reducing the index to the lowest possible order. Dito, we will express the radical into an expression with a rational exponent, then simplify the exponent or apply the property the mth root of the nth root of a is equal to mnth root of a. For example, the 20th root of 32p to the 15th power, q to the 10th power, r to the 5th power. Ang ating gagawin ay i-apply ang third law of radical. So, since ang ating index ay 20, ifa-factorize natin siya into 4 times 5. So, we have Rm is 4 and then Rn is 5 para masimplify yung nasa loob ng radical. Okay? So, yung 32 gagawin nating exponential form. So, that is 2 raised to 5th power, p raised to the 15th power, q raised to the 10th power, r raised to the 5th power. So, naaalala nyo, di ba, ang ating lesson last time sa laws of exponent? So, na ang m ay yung nasa numerator and then yung n ay yung denominator. So, since ang ating n ay 5, so that is our denominator. So, we have, i-convert na natin siya into exponential form. So, we have 2, so 2 raised to 5 over 5, p raised to 15 over 5, q raised to 10 over 5, and r raised to 5 over 5. So, isi-simplify natin siya. So, since ang 5 over 5 is 1, therefore, the exponent of 2 is 1. And then, 15 over 5 is 3. So, therefore, ang exponent ng p ay 3. Then, q, ang 10 over 5 ay 2. So, therefore, that is q squared. And then, r is 5 over 5. So, therefore, that is 1. Now, the simplified form of the given expression is the fourth root of 2p cubed q squared r. Number 3 is rationalizing the denominator of the radicand. So when we say rationalization, it is the process of removing the radical sign in the denominator. So ano ibig sabihin nito? Aalisin natin ang radical sign sa denominator kasi sa law of mathematics, hindi po natin allowed ang may radical sa denominator. But how can we do that? For example, 3 over square root of 2. So to rationalize the denominator of the radicand, kasi ang ating denominator ay naka-radical sign, so need natin or kailangan natin mag-multiply ng number na equal sa 1 so that the expression will not change the value or the result. So since ang ating denominator ay square root of 2, so ang i-multiply lang natin is a ratio of square root of 2 to remove the radical sign. So we have 3 over square root of 2 times square root of 2 over square root of 2 will give you the answer of 3 square root of 2 over 2. So therefore, ang ating simplified form is ito. The second example is 7 over 2 square root of 5x. So similar doon sa ating first example, so mag-multiply tayo ng number na equal sa 1 so that the expression will not change the result. So ano ang ating i-multiply? So that is square root of 5x over square root of 5x. So we will have the result of, so that is 7 times 5x, square root of 5x is 7 square root of 5x, and 2 square root of 5x times 5x is equal to 2 times 5x. So the simplified form of the given expression is 7 square root of 5x over 10x. So for our next example, we have the square root of 9x cubed over 25y squared. So ang gagawin natin ay i-apply lang natin yung laws of radical. So we have the square root of 3 squared, that is 9 times x squared times x, that is equal to x squared, x cubed, over the square root of 5 squared, that is equal to 25, times y squared. So will give us the result of 3x square root of x over 5y. Now, let's simplify the following radical expression. So the first one is the cube root of 250 x raised to the fourth power y cubed. Second is square root of 45 x to the fifth power y cubed. And the square root of 4x raised to the 5th power over 9y to the 4th power. So to simplify the first example, we will use the removing of perfect and powers. So, we have, i-breakdown po natin ang radicand. Okay? So, that is the cube root of 125 times 2, that is 250. X cubed times x is x raised to 4, and then y cubed. So, we have, that is the cube root of 5 cubed times 2 times x cubed times x times y cubed. And then we have the final simplified form of the given expression, that is 5xy, the cube root of 2x. So the second example is 45x to the 5th power y cubed. So parang parehas nung una nating example, i-breakdown natin ang radicand. So we have 9 times 5, that is equal to 45. X to the 5th power is equal to the square of x squared times x, and y cubed is equal to y squared times y. Now we have yung 9 natin, that is equal to 3 squared times 5 times square root of x squared times x times y squared times y. So we have the final answer of 3x squared y square root of 5xy. So we have our next example, square root of 4x raised to the 5th power over 9y to the 4th power. So we have, i-expand lang po natin ang ating numerator at denominator. We have 2 squared, that is 4, times the quantity of x squared times x, that is x raised to the 5th power, over the square root of 3 squared, that is 9, times the quantity of y squared. Okay? Then, the final answer will be 2x squared, square root of x, over 3y squared. Our next example is the 6th root of a raised to the 6th power, b raised to the 7th power, c raised to the 8th power. So first, again, i-breakdown natin ang radicand into perfect and non-perfect and power. So we have the 6th root of a raised to the 6th power, b raised to the 7th power is equal to b raised to the 6th power times b, and c raised to the 8th power is equal to c raised to the 6th power times c squared. So recalling the laws of radical, especially the first law, so we can simplify or pwede nating ilabas yung mga perfect and truth. So since ang ating index ay 6, so pwede nating ilabas ang a raised to the 6th power, b raised to the 6th power, and c raised to the 6th power. And then the rest ay maiiwan sa loob ng radical sign. So therefore, the simplified form is a, b, c, the 6th root of b, c squared. For our last example, we have the 5th root of 32x raised to the 10th power, y raised to the 6th power, z raised to the 7th power. So we have the 5th root of 2 raised to the 5th power, that is 32, multiplied by x squared raised to the 5th power, that is x raised to the 10th power, times y to the 5th power times y, that is y raised to the 6th power, multiplied by z raised to the 5th power times z squared, that is equal to z raised to the 7th power. And then So, paghihiwalayin lang natin yung mga perfect, may perfect roots, then sa wala. Therefore, we have the final answer of 2x squared yz, the fifth root of yz squared. I hope sa ating end of the lesson ay natutunan natin ang mga parts of radicals, laws of radicals, and simplifying radicals. Dito na po nagtatapos ang ating lesson for today. Sana marami kayong natutunan. Thank you for watching and I hope to see you on our next videos.